Welcome back, everyone, to our Groundskeeper chat series. I am your host, Meg Kruger, and today I am joined by Arizona State University's athletic field manager, Mr. Josh Lenz. Welcome, welcome. We're happy to have you.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course. So
Glad
you
to be here.
are our third Arizona State University representative. We had Brian right as he was leaving. So probably, what is that, like 3 years now?
About 3 years ago. Great, that
Okay.
means I'm doomed if he was on here.
Yeah, but let's
Uh,
just end it here. Okay,
yep.
goodbye. But he's so sweet, and he definitely, after 30 years of doing the gig, he was just so, it just flows from him, as I'm sure you experienced in your time with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Look up to him a lot. It's awesome to be able to call him a true friend, and I miss him every day. I don't get to work with him, so
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, another guy that you do get to work with that we're big fans of, we had Mike Kuhn on the podcast as well. So we had him just a couple weeks ago, and now it's your turn in the hot seat.
all right.
So how we like to start every podcast is kind of take it away from work for a bit and talk a little bit about, who are you outside of the job? How do you stay grounded so that you can be, a great manager, a great leader, a great groundskeeper? What do you do outside of those work hours to make sure that you have that balance?
Live a life, I guess, just experiences. It's all about experiences for me. And I have a beautiful family that I like to enjoy those experiences with. And then just having a community around me. I think that it's very important as a person in this life to surround yourself with good people who you can rely on for things when they get tough. So just making sure I stay established in a community and experience some awesome things with my family outside of this is, yeah,
Golden nugget
for
advice
me.
right
Yeah.
there for sure. What does your guys' like ideal day off look like for you and the family?
Well, I guess it depends how my wife's feeling. Ultimately, she's the boss. So if she just wants to relax and stay home, then that's what we do. But if not, we like to get out and enjoy the Arizona weather, whether it's, take a trip somewhere, go camping, hiking, be outdoors, go to a sporting event, really anything. Go try new places to eat. We always love
Definitely.
doing that. So just experience this awesome Phoenix metro that we're in and everything that it has to offer.
Is your daughter now in the space where she can, it is a daughter, right?
So I have a son.
Okay,
It's,
sorry
yeah,
about that.
it's all good.
So is your son in that space where he can go to a restaurant and you can enjoy his company? Or is it still like you're fighting for your life anytime you take him to a restaurant?
It's different every time we go. He's 6, and he
Okay.
definitely has his moments, but overall, I think he's a really good kid, and we're really focusing on, trying to be, I don't want to be those parents that show up and just put him on his iPad, and then, he gets a
Of
little older and
course.
he doesn't know how to behave in a restaurant. So we're really intentional about not letting him take his iPad and doing the coloring sheets, playing a little game, just sitting and trying to be quiet and behave.
Yeah.
Um, but he's good. I think overall he's better than most, and I'm probably a little biased, but I'm proud of
Well, I can tell you mine are not good. So
him.
so I have that point of view where it's like whenever we go on vacation for the longest time, that was my husband and I's favorite thing to do was like go to a new spot and we would just check out a new place for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like that was the best part of it. But now it's like we will, go hiking, grab like takeout on the way home from the hike, and then, stay at the Airbnb and let them destroy someone else's house instead of
Yeah,
we get a vacation by just, they're breaking things at someone else's house instead of ours for a week. But
sure.
but I can't wait till I get back in that space where it's like, oh, I can go out and enjoy a meal and, not want to pull my hair out. But they always say like those are the moments I'll miss, but I'm waiting for that.
Right.
For that like other shoe to drop where it's like, okay, maybe I do miss these. But no, and you're in such a great area for the camping, hiking activities. What's your like favorite space or area to go escape the Arizona Phoenix area?
But I think that's one of the beautiful things about where we live is you might be feeling something different every time you go. And we have such a variety so close. I mean, 5 hours I could be at the ocean, 2 hours I could
Yeah.
be in the mountains at 7,000 feet. Um, and of course, we have desert all around us. So,
Yeah.
and Arizona, believe it or not, has a bunch of beautiful lakes that we could go be around. So I don't know if there's any like particular spot that we just live to go to every time. Every
Hmm.
time it's something different, but there's so much variety. It's awesome.
Yeah, the variety is great. I mean, I definitely experienced that when I was out there visiting a few, I guess it was about a month and a half ago now. But we spent the few days in Phoenix and that was desert for us. Like we've never experienced desert like that. Um, but then we went up to Flagstaff for the rest of our time. I think we were there for like
Mhm.
5 nights. And that was just like I think the most beautiful place we've ever been. And we love Colorado, like that's our favorite place in the world. But there was something about like the culture of Flagstaff that I just thought was so unique and beautiful. And we went to Sedona, like we saw all that area.
Yeah,
We did the Grand Canyon, which I'm glad I did it. Now I can mark it off on, but I think if I were to ever do it again, I would want to hike down into it.
yeah,
Seeing it
yep,
from like the rim is, you kind of are like, oh, okay, that's cool. But I think it would really be different if you got to like hike into it.
absolutely. When you
So
get
very
down in it
cool.
and you turn around and you look back, like, because it's a different hike. Most hikes that I've been on, that I feel most people would go on, is you're hiking elevation. You're going up, and then at the end you come down.
Yep.
That's completely opposite. If you start, I mean, you pretty much start at the top, you hike down, and then you turn around, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at that beauty. You didn't see it,
Yep.
on your way down, and you turn around, and it's just these walls, and it's awesome.
Have you ever done it?
Yes, I have. Not all the way to the
Okay.
bottom. That's still on my bucket list, but we've gone about halfway down.
Okay, so cool. Yeah, we when we were there, we saw like a daughter and her two parents come out and they're like, "Yeah, we just spent like 5 days going from rim to rim." And they were
Mhm.
obviously like sleeping down there. Which that would be like our bread and butter. We used to love to backpack. We like did the Rocky Mountains on our honeymoon. So that's like our favorite
Okay.
thing to do is backpack and sleep out there. And, I think I'm a little bit now that I have kids, like I'd be more scared of like wildlife and everything like that. Or just, there's so many things that could happen where like they crack their
Right.
head open so easily and you're
Yeah.
just out there and it's like, oh, it took me 3 days to hike to this point. Like, what do I do
Yeah.
now? So I think I'll have to get over a little bit of that if I'm ever going to go with them because they are hazards, that's for sure. But enough about all that. I would love to dive into your turf origin story. I heard a little bit about a little of it when we were together a few weeks ago, but I'd love to get the full enchilada from start to finish. Tell us how turf really came on your radar, how you ended up choosing like a turf program, and then how you made your way all the way to Arizona and the position you have today.
All right. It's not pretty. Turf is not what I wanted to do. Uh,
Okay.
in fact, I hated science in school, and I still hate science. But I was really big into art, and
Okay.
went through a bunch of high school art classes. Loved it. Thought that that's what I wanted to do with my career. And turf came in because at the time in high school, I was just working a summer job at the golf course
Okay.
over the summers, and just every summer, like for 3 years, kept going back there while still kind of pursuing art. And actually, when I graduated high school, I ended up going and playing college basketball for a couple of years. But when I decided to give that up, um, I transferred back to Iowa State. So those first couple of years while playing basketball, I was actually a graphic design major,
Okay. Very
heavily
cool.
involved in the program. Had aspirations to go and be a graphic designer for a Division I college somewhere. But when I transferred back to Iowa State, um, still kind of doing some summer golf course maintenance. Iowa State had a tough graphic design program. They basically told me they were going to make me start all over. In those last 2 years I put in essentially wasted. And their program was 4 years. So I would for sure
Okay.
have to go another 4 years. So I said, heck with that. The superintendent at the course that I was working at said, hey, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever heard of it? I never had. I had kind of taken it for granted, like most people do. And he said, you've been doing a great job here. I went to Iowa State. I have a good in with the professors there. You should just consider it. So when I was looking at transferring back, I talked with the professors. Um, they had said, well, yeah, golf course is one option, but sports turf or sports fields is another option that you may be able to kind of work some of your artistic abilities into.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking more into baseball fields and kind of how people were designing them with patterns, and never had really been told about the painting piece yet.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I could stripe fields. I could use brushes to lay the grass over. Maybe I'll give this a shot. So I enrolled in the turf program there, and shortly after, got involved at Iowa State athletics with Tim Van Loo at the time, working for him, and just dove heavy into that sports turf. And it seemed like I still wasn't sure if it was something I wanted to do, but every time I feel like I had another avenue to get out, a really good turf opportunity would come along, and it kind of just kept me in.
Yeah.
Um, because at that time too, when I was enrolled there getting my degree, I also still thought that I wanted to be a coach, and I was heavily involved with Iowa State basketball, and uh, had a couple opportunities where I potentially would go into coaching. And I came to a crossroads at Iowa State a few years in. I think it was when I was a senior, where I had to make a choice, and Iowa State had a position open where it would allow me to go be a graduate um,
Okay.
assistant with the program, in with the basketball team actually. And like, you know what, I might pursue this. Well, that day after practice, I remember going up to my phone and I had a missed call, and it was a voicemail from Dale Getz to go be an intern for the Super Bowl. And I'm like, oh man, another good opportunity. I can't pass this up.
Yeah.
So I went into that, knowing that if this is what I want to do, I'm not going to go in taking pictures and just, enjoying the experience, which I wanted to do, but I wanted to make a good impression. So I wanted to work really hard. I wanted to try to keep my phone in my pocket. Um, and if this was an avenue that would work out, just do a really good job and hopefully be invited back. Um, so later that next fall, I got a letter from George Toma, said that they were needing help over in London, and to reach out if I'd be interested. So I did, and I got invited over to a game, and it just kind of took off from there.
Yeah.
I've been so since then I've been kind of working with the NFL, doing things, some of the neutral site games, but got more heavily involved with the turf program at Iowa State, became a graduate assistant there, and then got Ryan Newman from the University of Colorado in Boulder. We connected when I was a senior, or second year in my master's program. And he said, hey, I got a job opening. You should apply. So I applied. The wife and I said Boulder would be a pretty cool place to live.
Definitely.
Ended up going to Boulder for a couple of years, being an assistant there. Still working in the NFL's, side of things, and that's kind of where I met Brian.
Okay.
Worked with Brian for several years there, and we were on a flight together over to one of the London games, and he was telling me about how ASU approved for him to get an assistant. And he's like, I don't know what your future plans are. I don't know if this is a lateral move for you or whatnot, but I think this might be a good fit for you. And if you and the wife were open to it, I have plans to retire in a year or two. Maybe you'd consider moving down here and taking over for me.
Oh my gosh.
So, you know what? That sounds great. Let me talk to the wife about it. She was all in for it. Um, long story short, I worked that last Super Bowl with him in Minnesota. And as soon as that was over, we moved down to Phoenix, and things went so good. It was just awesome working for Brian. I'm not really a career driven person. I'm
Mm-hmm.
more of a, if it fits in my lifestyle that I want to live, I'm happy. And that's ultimately all I want. And I wasn't worried about the 1 year deadline or 2 year deadline that he had given me. Um, in fact, he ended up staying 4 years, I think, after I moved down here. And it was probably the greatest 4 years ever, like learning from him and just being friends. It was
Mm-hmm.
like working alongside one of your best friends for 4 years, and it was such a huge reward, that I kept trying to get him to stay even longer, even though he was trying to get out. So that's how I got to where I am today. Ultimately, he finally retired, and I had to take over, and yeah, here we are.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. For some reason, I had thought you went right from Iowa State to ASU, but I had no idea that that's how the NFL played into it.
Yeah.
Because I had just assumed that, maybe you'd started working with Brian and he was like, "Hey, I do this NFL stuff, come along, and you're already my guy. Let's go and do it." But that's so cool that you kind of had already proved yourself to him in some way because he definitely took an interest in you and brought you to Arizona. That's an incredible story. I love it. And yeah, and what better like pillars that you could have in your career? Tim Van Loo, like such an impactful mentor, I'm sure, and just all the people that have gone through his program, and they all have glowing things to say about him. And then again, to be with such another huge pillar, Brian, who nobody has a single bad thing to say about that guy. Not only as a professional, but just as a person. He just is 5 stars across the board on in all avenues of life.
Absolutely. I could not
That's
have asked for two better mentors in this industry. That's both not just professionally, but also, as a person, as a man. They both did so much for me, and I'm extremely lucky.
incredible. When did it, really click for you? Like, you went in and as you said at so many different points, you were kind of like looking for that avenue out, or, you were open to, other avenues if they came. When did it really like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do and like I love this, or this fits in my life and I'm gonna stick with it. When was that kind of like aha moment for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I think, like I said earlier, it's all about the lifestyle for me. And if,
Mm-hmm.
it just, I think my wife and I would constantly evaluate, hey, are we enjoying this season of life that we're in? And do we like the path we're on? And, when I was at Colorado, I even had opportunities where I could have gone back to Iowa State, and they had basketball coaching opportunities that opened up. And it's like, we just enjoyed what we were doing at the time, and we
Yeah.
enjoyed where we were living. And we also realized that, while we loved our time at Iowa State, that's where I grew up. I spent my whole life there. Uh, that season had kind of moved on since we had left, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't have been the same if we would have gone back. Like, there were other people that had moved on with their lives, and relationships would have been different, and the job would have been different. And I think we were just a little nervous about that, and
Yeah.
direction we were headed, we were excited about. So it just, like I said, one opportunity after another and kind of one moment after another. It's just like, we enjoy where we're at. We enjoy what we're doing. We enjoy the community that we've surrounded ourselves with. So it just kind of stuck.
I love that. And it's really, refreshing to hear you talk about lifestyle and this job, fitting into your life because it is, so much of the conversation is typically that this is a position where it's really hard to maintain balance. What are those things that you have done, or do you think it's a personal boundary that you've set, or is it the organization you're in? How have you really established something where you feel like you're still living your life first and having a career second?
Well, I think it all starts with the people that you're surrounded with. And for
Mm-hmm.
us, I think we have an incredible culture in our grounds department here at Arizona State. I have so many great people that work for me. And when you can establish a good culture, um, I think people just work harder, and we're more efficient, and we're smart about what we do and when we have to do it. And we help each other out. Everyone has those times where, they need a break. They
Yeah.
just need a mental check. They need to go to a funeral. They aren't feeling the best. And when you have a good culture and you have people that want to help one another out, we lift each other up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we try to, give each other those times when they need it. And sure that there are a lot of days that are a struggle that you have to get through, but I'm also, a couple of years ago, a saying was told to me, we don't work a 9 to 5 job.
Hmm.
Being a turf manager, being in athletics is a lifestyle. And most people, when they hear that, they can get nervous about it.
Yeah.
But we've kind of reversed it where it's, that may be a curse and a curse in a lot of people's minds, but it's also a huge blessing.
Hmm.
And because we don't work a 9 to 5 job, if we've done what we need to do and we're ready for that next event or we're in a good spot, we're not going to stick around just to stick around. Of course, there's always things that you can do, but also you have to respect that work-life balance. And you have to realize when people need a break, we got to get out of here because
Hmm.
they're just going to come back and they're going to work that much harder for you then. And I think that we've been really good about doing that, especially here recently. And I think it shows, with a lot, I think a lot of people on our crew are in a really good headspace right now and they really enjoy what they're doing. And that means a lot to me.
Definitely. And I can attest to that. Like just the natural flow that I saw, take place on a very, there that it's like a breeding ground for stress, what you guys were up against. It's hot, you have a deadline, you had a big game the next day. And like the task at hand is tedious in a lot of ways. You can't just go faster or speed through it so that you can get out. It's like you have to be meticulous, take your time. But the way that everyone operated was at such a, everyone just seemed like they were in their element and very happy to be doing the job they were doing. And that's definitely a testament to, the leadership and what you guys are building there. And how much of that do you think is really about empowering people to, take a leadership role within the crew or just own a task that you see that they really enjoy? How much of, creating that culture is just empowering people to, take it by the reins and really enjoy what they're
Sure.
doing?
Well, I think that's one of the biggest areas that I've had to grow in my career is I was a very, very detail oriented person, OCD, over the top, like um, the smallest things would bug me. And I used to have a hard time letting anyone do anything. I felt like I had to do
Hmm.
everything. And I've lightened up a little bit. I think a lot of these stories that you see in professionals, like heartbreaking stories where guys work their entire career incredibly hard for an organization just to be replaced
Yeah.
in the blink of an eye or to be forced out after everything that they've given. Uh, it's just one of those things like, why? It makes me
Yeah.
ask, why do we work so hard if that's how we're going to be treated, potentially treated? Not everyone's
Hmm.
treated that way, but potentially treated at the end of uh, at the end of the day or at the end of your career or whatever it may be. And it's one of those eye-opening realizations that, what we have to protect ourselves and we have to protect each other in this also. So I want people to grow.
Hmm.
If people are career-driven people and this is what they want to do, I want to give them that experience,
Yeah.
to grow in a sense like that. And for us, I think we have a lot of good stages where there are opportunities for growth. I'm not going to let someone who's never painted before go out on a football stage in front of, national TV and paint, but
Yep.
that doesn't mean I'm not going to let them paint. We have several other fields where they need to start first. And I think
Of
everyone
course.
respects that. And, um, I think we're pretty good about if someone has an interest in doing something, you can bet that I'm going to give them that opportunity to try to do that and get better at it because we have so many fields where they can. And I think that's another great thing about Arizona State is we have that flexibility and ability to be able to give people that opportunity and let them try to learn and develop on their own and, go after that position that they ultimately want.
Definitely. And especially, your crew is very unique in that a lot of your workforce are students at Arizona, and not just like they've had to find their own interests in this path. So if they are, deciding to go into this, it's because of the experience they've had on your crew. Because there is no turf program at ASU for anyone listening. So how like do you weigh a lot of that responsibility where it's kind of like you are giving them that crash course per se, like they're not going to class and pairing it with, their experience on the field. It really is all happening right there with you.
Yeah, it's that's probably one of the most rewarding parts of the job,
Hmm.
honestly. And I think that that was going back to my Iowa State days. One of the things that Tim Van Loo taught me is, it can be difficult sometimes when you rely heavily on student workers, especially when Arizona State doesn't have a turf program. So all these people that are coming in, most of them haven't even ever mowed a lawn.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different, but that's where we can teach them. We can teach them to be hard workers. We can teach them about groundskeeping. We can open their eyes to new things. Um, and every year, I mean, I get at least one new student. We have a student work crew of 10 kids. Um, and it's so awesome to watch them grow throughout this, just not necessarily as students working in turf, but just as young men, young women, um, in whatever workplace they're trying to get to.
Hmm.
And then it's also fun, because we are in this industry, to watch them take an interest to it and watch them get excited and watch games in a different way. And
Yeah.
they'll text us on the weekend, "Hey, are you watching this game? Do you see what their field looks like?" And I have a bunch of people, a bunch of kids that are in a fraternity together, and they're like, "Hey, we want to make our fraternity lawn look better than anyone else's." And they kind
Oh,
of
I
take
love
pride in
that.
that. It's just really cool to see the different perspectives and things that they bring in, and how we can play a small part in affecting their lives in one way or another.
Definitely. Well, to switch gears a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about, earning that seat at the table, because you can do everything right within your own crew. But if you don't have, that seat at the table with the people who are creating schedules, moving money around, making decisions for what happens at the field or the stadium, it could, that's definitely a point of contention. So how have you really established, a relationship? Brian obviously had a long working relationship with the people in the organization. How did you, work through that transition to gain their trust, build a relationship during that time when you were taking over?
Yeah, well, I think Brian definitely laid the groundwork. Him
Hmm.
being amazing at what he did and having a beautiful field out here all the time certainly helped. Um, I was able to piggyback off of that a little bit, and when the major players at the university come down and they see the field, and I think in the back of their mind they know what they're asking. They know what they're trying to put out here and what they're asking us to do, and when they can still walk out here and be wowed and like, how
Yeah.
do they do this? And um, they want to talk to you, and ultimately, they want to get your opinion on more things. And I think it's just trying to educate people. Ultimately, it's
Yeah.
trying to tell people who are ultimately making those decisions why we need to do what we do, and uh, what's needed to put a great surface out there that's
Yeah.
going to play great and be safe and whatnot. And um, that's probably the biggest thing, is just educating them, and,
Yeah.
forcing yourself into those conversations. And ultimately, like, when you can show them those aha moments, like, you see, that's why we did what we did, and that's why we needed to do what we did. And um, they just start to understand. It's like, okay, I trust you now. And I think it just kind of all stems from there.
Definitely. Yeah, explaining the why for so many things. Because, like you said, if it's somebody on your crew, they come in, they may not have mowed before, or they don't understand. And there's so many, general public that we take this for granted. And then you have to work with that same type of working knowledge for with people that are making decisions for your field. So it's like you have to explain that why. And it's such a larger thing than just saying, oh, I need this. And you need to provide it,
Mhm.
really showing those results. So yeah, we've definitely heard that across the board, that just like you're almost taking an educator role in a lot of those positions. But how have you really, do you feel like you have to speak their language in a sense? Because, especially if people don't understand the why, you have to kind of speak their language and find the things that really resonate with them.
Yes and no. I think I definitely used to be that way, and I used to push it hard. But I've also tried to take a step back, especially this last season, just for the sake of the work-life balance.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I was hired to do a job, and that job was to put the best field out there possible based on the circumstances that I'm given.
Yeah.
Someone else's job is to put events out there. And if they feel like they need to put events out there and the president approves those events, then they need to happen. And ultimately, I mean, if they totally mess the field up, well, I have to take a step back. And as mad as that might make me, as mad as I want to keep things off of it, I just have to tell myself, like, look, my job is to repair this, if that's what they want to have out there, or put ourselves in the best position to prevent damages from happening. Um, and ultimately, I think that that's how I can try to reduce the stress in my job is just,
Definitely.
I can't control that. I can't
Yeah.
control what they're putting out there. They're going to do what they want to do. So the best thing that I can do is educate them and try to protect it. Or if they don't want to, make them learn or help them learn from their mistakes or our mistakes and how we can be better next time. And I think that we're also constantly doing that as every year we put more and more commencements on the field or have more and more events. Um, just educate them more and tell them why. And when we figure out what doesn't work, how can we improve that next year? And it is what it is after that,
Yeah.
there's nothing more we can do about it. So we just need to try to go out there and fix what happened and focus on the next event and try to put the best, safest field out there that we can.
Definitely. That's a really refreshing point of view because I think, definitely in the last 5, 10 years, it has transitioned to be very event heavy. And so to hear you say like that's, it's inevitable and it's in my job to provide the best playing service no matter what, the circumstances might be is definitely a refreshing point of view. So to switch gears a little bit, you have the opportunity to work closely with some of the NFL crews and things like that. How do you think that professional development plays a role in your job back at ASU? Whether it be the people you get to meet or the tasks that you get to do, how does that really fuel your fire for the day-to-day job?
Um, I don't know if it really plays any role at ASU other than learning from my peers.
Definitely.
We're all in different environments. We're all faced with different challenges, and ultimately, it's awesome to go and speak with everyone about what they're dealing with and how they've overcome certain things. And in some circumstances, I can relate. And uh, most of the time, it might not even be about turf. It's about employees or the business side of things or stuff like that. But it's just such a cool environment to work in because now that I've done it for so long and there's a lot of the same people that come back, it's relationships that you've built that
Hmm.
you can't take for granted anymore. Like um, I mean, there's really one time a year where I get to go and see all these people and catch up with them and see how, their careers are going and how their situations at their, facilities, fields, whatever are going. And it's cool to pick their brains and catch up with them about that and just about life in general. And to also have them to fall on if I ever have a question
Yeah.
throughout the year or a problem I've encountered that I haven't dealt with that one of them may have. So extremely rewarding. Very grateful that I get to be surrounded with a lot of those professionals. Call them friends and have their numbers to pick their brains if I ever need to.
Definitely. And you talked a little bit about community before and what a community that is, especially when you guys have this, event that you get to bond over. I mean, not a ton of people get to experience things like that. So for to be in that space and time, it's, like a moment captured in time. So I'm
Yeah.
sure the community and, that bond lasts a long time.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, the last question I have for you is, you now have a celebrity on your crew. Leah Withrow joined you guys a few weeks back. How have you been managing like the press and all the crazy? I kid, but how has it been having Leah join the crew? And she's going to be in charge of softball, correct? Am I right on
Correct.
that
Yep.
one? Okay, very cool. And I saw that she was at the game this past week as well, helping with the football side of things.
Yeah. Well, she's definitely going to help with our social media.
I
Not
saw her
something,
video. I loved it. I loved
yeah,
it.
not something I'm good at, but she's clearly proven herself in that way. But no, it's been awesome, and we're extremely Arizona State is extremely lucky to land someone like her to manage our field. I think it was just um, I don't know what her goals are necessarily professionally. I know that she wanted to get here to be closer to her boyfriend. I know that
Hmm.
she wanted to, I mean, she cemented herself in this industry. So I know that she wanted to stay in that. Ultimately, for me, it was just, what can we offer you? How can we teach you and help you along your journey? And I think culture is just one of those ones that
Yeah.
I had to sell her on. I think that that's something that we're incredibly good at. And hey, you're going to come here and you're going to enjoy yourself. And
Yeah.
um,
Well, and
I feel,
especially for someone who's making a decision to put, the life first, it seems like ASU would be the perfect fit for that.
yeah,
Because it was a lifestyle choice as well. So I love that for her. And I was very excited when I heard the news. Doug Piersky, texted me like immediately. And I was on vacation and then I am texting her and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. My favorite grounds crew just got that much better. So
yeah, I'm not, I didn't, I had heard of Leah. I had never met her. I didn't know much about her before she was hired here. Um, and you just in that position, in the position, I mean, she was a head groundskeeper for a professional team. So coming to ASU, it's almost like, well, you might be, I mean, on paper, you're taking a step backwards here. Um, how's she going to handle that? How are we going to handle that? How are things going to be when she gets here? Kind of going from a spot where she's the manager, she is managing everything, to walking into this situation, and it's been absolutely great. Leah's been great. She's been great about it. Never once has, all those questions that I had about that and how's that going to work, have those came into my mind. It's just been she's done nothing but help us, and ultimately that's all that matters.
yeah,
I don't really care. I don't need to be the top guy. I don't need to let her know that I'm the top guy. Like, I take pride out of it, and it's just like, how can we first, as bad as this might sound to some people, first it's how can we just have fun as a grounds crew, and how can we make our lives better? And then after that, okay, now how can we make our fields and stuff better? It's for me, it's always employee first,
yeah,
job second. And I think that if you live, or if you work with that mindset, the results are going to take care of themselves. Your employees are going to want to come
100%.
here. They're going to want to work hard. And ultimately, we're going to get that surface that we desire at the end of the day. And she's came in and she's made, she's fit right in with the culture. And, uh, she's laughed with us. We've had a couple hard times since she's been here that we've grinded through, and it's been great all along. So,
That's
super
awesome.
thrilled that she agreed to come here. I hope we can keep her for at least a few years, and continue to build on what we have. But yeah, it's been such a blessing.
That's awesome. And yeah, and you said it might sound bad to put, the fun first, but honestly, your results and what you guys are able to produce at ASU is just a testament to that formula being successful. So very cool, and I'm happy to hear that everything is going well. I don't think I have anything else for you professionally wise, but my last question is, what are you listening to when you're out on the field and you need to focus? What's in your earbuds? What's the music that keeps you going through a long day when it's like 120 degrees and you just have to focus on the task at hand?
Well, I've been called out by a lot of the guys on my crew because most of the time when I'm out doing something, uh, I don't wear headphones at all. I like
Okay.
to be aware of my surroundings. I like to just sit with my thoughts, and I think it's people, they always say like, how do you do that? I need the distraction or something. Sometimes I think it's good for you to kind of just sit back and like try to keep yourself entertained with, taking in what's around you. But
Yep.
If I am on the mower and I have something really loud, around me, equipment, I'm trying to, protect my hearing a little bit. I'm probably just listening to some. If I miss my church service that last week, it's always the church service first and catching up on that. Uh, but I'm kind of a big guy in faith, and I'll typically put on like my Christian music first and just feel good, like
Yeah.
take the stress out of the day and relax. And but that doesn't happen very much anymore. I don't get to jump on the mower all that much. So,
Yep. Yep.
uh,
Well,
but
I always have wondered how, if you're working on equipment, if, wearing the AirPods or the music, if that would be more damaging to your ears.
yeah, I know. I don't know, and it'd be nice if a study came out. Sometimes I don't even have my
Yeah.
AirPods with me, so I just throw earplugs in,
Yep.
just still sit in silence for that hour and a half. But yeah, I never blast the music. It's always more I'm just putting my AirPods in for the noise canceling. And sometimes I'll get a phone call and I'll hang up and the music's just been paused and I'll mow another 40 yards and realize like, oh, I never turned the music back on.
Yep. Yep.
So that's yeah.
That's
I guess I'm
awesome.
probably different in that sense than a lot of people.
Well, it's always a mixed variety, but I don't think I've ever heard sitting in silence with your thoughts. So I like it. I mean, it's obviously working. You guys have, all the keys to success down there. So I really appreciate the time and any, golden nuggets that you were able to share with us today. And I'm already looking forward to the next time I can, come down there and spend some time with you all.
Well, you're welcome anytime, and we thank you for everything that you're doing for us and just bringing the turf world to light. Like it's awesome to follow along and see what you're doing, and any way that we can play a part in that, we're always happy to.
Awesome. Well, yeah, you guys are amazing and at, the photos, the videos, everything. You guys are incredible. So it's a two-way street, the appreciation for sure. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Josh. And hopefully we know soon if you'll be down there in Palm Springs and we can connect further. But if not, then it will just have to be the next time I come to Arizona, which will not
Absolutely.
be when it's 100 degrees.
You're welcome anytime.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
And like I said, I'll send this to you so that you can have the final say on you can watch it, you can listen to it before we post it anywhere. So,
Okay.
but
You're all
like I
good.
said,
I
I don't
trust you.
think yeah, I don't think anything came out, bad or whatever. We didn't mess up in any area. So I think it should be good to go.
It's all good. I am who I am, and if people can't accept it, then well, that's too bad.
I love that. You're very at peace. You're a very level-headed gentleman. I really do love that. That's
Try to be. It's the
awesome.
only way to take stress out of your life. So
Definitely. Yeah. I'm very lackadaisical. That's my approach. I'm just like, whatever. Which gets me in trouble sometimes because when you're
yeah.
when you're whatever about everything, sometimes it all just comes crashing down. But I like your approach. I might adopt some practices from you. So
All right.
all right, we'll talk soon.
Yep. Good to see
Thank you
you.
so much for the time. You have a good one.
Absolutely. You too.
Bye
Bye.
bye.